Hi, I'm Gabe with Mighty Fortress. Today we have a little task for you to locate your shutoffs. Generally, houses have three different types of shutoff: water, gas, and electric. For today we're going to focus on water, and in the future post we'll do gas and electric. As part of this task, you have to have tools in order to shut off water on a home that's on public water supply. If your home's on a well, that's a different story. There's generally a shutoff valve that's going to be located at your pressure tank, which is generally in your garage. But for today, we're going to focus on public water supplies. In order to turn off the water properly on a public water supply, you really need a water meter key. This is one that would be the best option. This allows you to turn the water off on one end. The flag allows you to pull the water meter lid up. We'll demonstrate that shortly. They actually sell these as individual parts. A key to pull the lid up, and then a key to turn the meter off. Obviously, I like the all-in-one. You can keep it in your garage nice and handy. You can buy these obviously online. You can also get them at your big box stores. You're gonna be in the neighborhood of around $10 to $20. I actually picked up this meter key for $2 at a Habitat resale store. So just kind of search around and see what you can get, but very nominal fees. In a pinch, you can actually sometimes get your meter open with a screwdriver and turn the valve off with a Crescent Wrench. I really don't advise this except in an absolute last case scenario. The other things that you may not think about is, as part of your project, your meter may actually be covered in dirt. So you may actually have to dig it out. We have to do this often on inspections. And the other thing that we often do is the meter can be full of water and you actually have to bail it out with a cup. So one of our tasks that we're working on is finding our main water shutoff, or your main water shutoff. Here at our house, you look at our mailbox, you see two water meter lids. One or the other could be our house. Next, we'll show you how you determine which one's yours. Our first task is to actually open up this water meter lid. You stick your key in and turn it so that it gives you some leverage, and you lift up this lid. It's really super important that you look at the underside of this. Some of these lids will come with a lock that's in place here, and if you don't have this key to turn the lock, you cannot open this lid. In our case, the lock's been removed, so you could actually lift this lid with a screwdriver. We don't see it very often that the lock is in place. Most of the time they've been removed, but if yours is locked, you absolutely have to have a key, and you want to make sure you've got that on hand. Here's what your water meter is going to look like. There's a couple things we need to identify. The first of which is the actual shutoff valve. We'll show you how to turn that off here momentarily, but first we're confirming that this is our water meter. This little triangular shaped arrow is what we call the low flow water indicator. If it is not moving, that means no water is going on in the house. So what I'm going to do now is have Aaron turn the water on so that we can see if this low flow starts to spin. Okay, turn it on. Okay, Aaron turned on the water. Our low flow indicator is spinning. Go ahead and turn it off. Come back and confirm low flow stopped spinning. So now we know that this is our water meter. On newer homes, and by newer I mean generally 1980s and up, these water meters oftentimes will have a hole that lines up so that you can guarantee you know it's off. Occasionally on older homes, 50s, 60s, the valve won't have the two holes, in which case you have to just turn, and you may need to practice that a couple times. So you take your key, and what we're going to do is line up this hole, and we'll know that it's turned off. With the water meter key, like I just demonstrated, it's so much easier. You have more leverage, you don't have to get down. So it's pretty much a must-have tool for every home. If you can't, you're in an emergency or you're at someone's house and You can sometimes get them with a crescent wrench, as I'm demonstrating now, but it takes a lot more effort, and as you can see now I'm hitting this section, so I've got to spin my wrench around, and I just run out of leverage, so it's much more difficult. As part of finding your shutoff valves in your house, general locations for individual shutoffs are going to be bathroom sinks, kitchen sinks, your washing machine, your refrigerator for an ice maker valve, toilets. Generally, you will not have shutoffs at bathtubs and showers. The most important individual shutoff valve for you to locate would be your toilets. If there's ever an issue with the toilet and it starts to overflow, you're going to want to get it shut off as soon as possible. The toilet shutoff valve is generally going to be on the wall behind the toilet, attached to a line. These valves come in different shapes and sizes, but the general rule of thumb is you turn it to the right until you can't turn anymore. Some actually take several spins. Some actually may only do a quarter turn to shut off. Once you get everything repaired or you're back to normal, just reverse the procedure, turning all the way to the left, and your water should be back on. Sink shutoff valves are going to be exactly the same as a toilet shutoff valve, except you're going to have two, one for the hot line, one for the cold. Generally, hot is on the left, cold is on the right. Occasionally we find those reversed, so you just never know. Occasionally on older homes, we'll see sinks that are hooked up without shutoff valves, and it's good for you to know what type you have. If you don't have shutoff valves, then you're forced shutting off the water at the water main. Here we're at the washing machine. We're going to show you what these valves look like. They actually look different than the toilet and sink valves, which you actually have to turn several turns to shut off. These are just basic quarter turn valves, so you're only going to have to turn it slightly to get it shut off. Red's hot, blue's cold. Ice maker valves are going to generally look like your washing machine valves. They come in two different kinds, the quarter turn that we just showed you and the type that you have to turn several turns. Just depends on what you have. You obviously have to pull your refrigerator out to access it, probably only times when you're cleaning or swapping out your refrigerator. Always remember you turn to the left to turn on, you turn to the right to turn off. So the last thing that we're going to talk about is what we call an in-house water shutoff valve. It's a good thing I'm not claustrophobic because we're kind of in some tight spaces here. As you're searching for your different water shutoff valves, an in-house shutoff valve, if you have one, not all homes do, are going to be located in a couple of locations. Number one, ours is located in a bedroom closet. Should be fairly obvious. The second place that you need to look is by your water heater, which is most oftentimes in a garage. The third place, and the place that we find it the least, is actually under bathroom sinks. So check both your bathroom sinks, and very rarely we actually find it under a kitchen sink. Once you've located this in-house shutoff, there's a couple of kinds, just like we were talking about with sinks and toilets. Generally, most of these are quarter turn valves that you just turn it so that it's perpendicular and you know it's off. Horizontal is on. Every now and then you have the globe kind that you have to turn several turns. We would encourage you, if you have the kind that turns several turns, to really be careful if you use it, because that's an old valve that made a leak the first time that you use it. The nice thing about an in-house water shutoff is it allows you to turn the water off for the house, but not necessarily for maybe a sprinkler system. So if you want to go on vacation so that you don't have to worry about any water leaks inside the house, but you want to continue to water your sprinkler, you can use your in-house shutoff. The other nice thing is if you have a random water leak and you're trying to get the water shut off as soon as possible, you can get to this valve a lot faster than you can to your water meter. One final tip about the water meter: if you're concerned about water leaks in the home, you can come out and monitor your low flow indicator like we were showing you. The other thing you can do is you can actually calculate how many gallons of water you're using. If you're curious or wanted to try to conserve, you can mark the numbers on the water meter, the number of gallons. We'll actually show you another video on how you can read that meter later, but it can kind of give you a rough ballpark if you're using 150 gallons a day or more. So in conclusion, as part of your task, if you choose to accept it, is you're locating your main water shutoff, if you have an in-house shutoff, and it's also a good idea to take a look at your toilet shutoffs, maybe sinks, so you kind of have an idea of where these are. The next thing that you need to do is make sure you have the right tools on hand. and always keep them in the same spot. I keep my water meter key in the garage, hanging on a shelving system that we have. After you've kind of got your tools, you've figured out where the water shutoffs are, it's not a bad idea to let any other adults or older children in the house know where these shutoffs are. In the event that there's ever a major water leak, it's good to get those shut off as soon as possible. Water makes a huge mess. It's better to go ahead and take some time now rather than scrambling in an emergency when your mind's not going to be working as clearly. We really hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, subscribe to our YouTube channel or check us out at mightyfortressacademy.com. We're coming up with a video shortly on gas and electric, so stay tuned for that.